Does Santa Claus travel through time on Christmas Eve during his journey around the world? In this video, I'm going to answer that question. Hi there, you're very welcome to the latest episode of The Superhero Scientist. I'm Dr. Barry Fitzgerald, the Superhero Scientist, and in this video, I'm going to answer the question, is Santa Claus a time traveler on Christmas Eve? Now we know that time is of the essence for Santa Claus on Christmas Eve. Every millisecond counts as he delivers presents to millions of children all around the world. But many people might be wondering, is Santa Claus traveling through time when he actually does this delivery on Christmas Eve? The answer is yes, he is. And in this video, I'm going to explain how he's a time traveler. But I need to clarify one thing before I get started. We are all time travelers. Cool, so I'm actually a time traveler. I've always wanted to be a time traveler. Hold on just a second before you start the celebrations. You don't want to get too excited about this, because while we are time travelers, we are only moving to the future at 1 second per second. Okay, I think I might have celebrated a little too early there. Faster than 1 second per second time travel is possible. It can all be explained by a really famous theory in physics that was devised by probably one of the most famous physicists of all time, and that is Albert Einstein. And Albert Einstein's special theory of relativity holds the key. Special theory of relativity, just from the name it sounds really special. And it really is. In the special theory of relativity, it's assumed that the objects are not accelerating. This means that their velocity is not changing, and in other words, they're moving with a constant velocity. One entity in the universe that moves at a constant velocity is the speed of light. Now, the speed of light is not infinite, it is indeed finite, but it is still a very large number. And that number is 299,792,458 meters per second. That's really fast. To give you an idea of how fast light is, imagine if you were on a rocket and you wanted to travel from Earth to the Sun, where the distance between the Earth and the Sun is 147.6 million kilometers. If that rocket is traveling at the speed of light, you can travel from the Earth to the Sun in 8.3 minutes. That's really fast. More importantly, from Einstein's special theory of relativity, we know that time goes slower for fast-moving objects. Okay then, what does this all mean for Santa Claus on Christmas Eve? Of course, Santa's sleigh goes at an incredible speed on Christmas Eve. And a few years ago, it was calculated that Santa's sleigh travels at approximately 650 miles per second, which is the same as just over 1 million meters per second. And this is the same as 0.35% of the speed of light. So how does traveling at 0.35% of the speed of light lead to time travel? To explain what this means for Santa Claus on Christmas Eve, I'm going to consider two different instances. The first one I'm going to consider is somebody at home, just like you perhaps, waiting for Santa Claus to arrive on Christmas Eve with presents. On Christmas Eve, Santa Claus has roughly around 31 hours to go around the world delivering presents, helped by the time zones. You can check out my video on the time zones. It'll be linked below in the description for this video. Now imagine that you're at home and you start a stopwatch at the exact moment that Santa Claus delivers his first present. If you were to do so, you would find that your stopwatch would read 31 hours once you were able to stop it at the moment he delivered his last present. In this case, it's assumed that you were at rest and that you are not moving. In the case of Santa Claus, well, the question is this: as he flies around the world at a very, very large speed, just over 1 million meters per second, will his clock also read 31 hours, or will it read something else? In fact, Santa's watch does not read 31 hours. So what does it say? This brings us back to Albert Einstein and his special theory of relativity. And at this moment, it's time to jump into a little bit of mathematics. Here we have two stopwatches. The first one is the one that you would have at home and that you would start at the moment that Santa delivers his first present and stop when he delivers the last present. And that watch would approximately say 31 hours, which is the equivalent of 111,600 seconds. There's a second stopwatch. That's the one that Santa Claus has on his sleigh. We don't know what that says yet, but we're going to figure out what that will say. And finally, of course, we know that the velocity of the sleigh is just over 1,000,000 meters per second, but your velocity is 0 meters per second. The velocity that's the most important here is the velocity of Santa Claus. To calculate the time on the stopwatch held by Santa Claus, we have to use this formula here, and that is the time on Santa's clock is equal to the time that you measured on your stopwatch multiplied by a factor, which is often called the Lorentz factor when you're talking about things in relativity. The expression for the Lorentz factor is given here, and there are two variables that can be inserted in here. The first one is v, that would be the velocity of the object that we're interested in looking at, and in this case that is Santa's sleigh. And c here, well, that is the maximum velocity in the universe, and that is the speed of light. If I insert the velocity of Santa's sleigh and the speed of light, I'll get this very long decimal number as that particular factor. I can then insert the time in seconds as measured by your stopwatch multiplied by that factor, and that will give me the time measured by Santa's stopwatch. And when you do so, you'll actually find that it is less than the time that you measured. In fact, it is 111,599.3 seconds approximately. And that is less than the time that you would have measured on your stopwatch. This is the same as approximately 30.998 hours. Clearly less than 31 hours, or the 31 hours that you would have measured on your stopwatch. What does this all mean for Santa Claus then? Well, in your case, in your rest position, your stopwatch measured 31 hours. In the case of Santa Claus, his stopwatch, which would have been traveling around the world on the sleigh, with the sleigh traveling at just over 1,000,000 meters per second, that stopwatch will have measured just under 31 hours. And the conclusion? Santa Claus travels to the future by 0.7 seconds on Christmas Eve. It might not sound like a lot, but Santa Claus is most certainly traveling through time on Christmas Eve. Do you want to know more about the secret science of Santa Claus? Well, be sure to subscribe to this channel right over here, and you can keep up to date with those videos and upcoming videos on the science of superheroes. I hope you've enjoyed this video in relation to Santa Claus as a time traveler. I've been Dr. Barry Fitzgerald, the superhero scientist, and until I see you again, always think super.